um, but I think that our focus here today is going to help us to relax um, and get us on the path of either continuing to do research um, or to start research maybe for the first time. So that is our goal here today.
Ramin, just quick check on
Yes.
technology. Like some people were saying, the screen is blur, but dear participants, it might be due to your fibrates, but most of the participants said screen is not clear. I think it's due to the fiber breakage or a low power, but in most of the cases, there is screen seems very clear here.
Okay, thank you for that feedback. And as always, please remember that I'm going to try to speak as much as possible about the slides. And these slides, the presentations will be available later to you and on the stream, on the Facebook live stream. Um, they are being recorded, right? So you can view them at that time too. So just be patient. Another suggestion, and I do this actually on my phone, and I ask everyone else in my household, is to please disconnect from the Wi-Fi from your phone. Okay, so every device that is that you're using in your house, in your home, is pulling from the bandwidth, right? So if you can minimize the number of devices using the internet, that would be helpful. So as we go forward here, I just want to be clear that a lot of the materials here are sourced from action research workshops that I've done throughout the world, and specifically as a English language fellow in Vietnam. And a lot of the materials here are actually focused, it's from this book here, Doing Action Research in English Language Teaching by Ann Burns. And this is nice because, of course, it discusses action research, but is specific to English language teaching. And as you can see here, it's a guide for practitioners. There's actually a link here, okay, that'll take you directly to the course. There was an online kind of whole, webinar series on conducting action research. And many of the materials that we're discussing and more materials, as well as some scans of some of the pages from this book, are available. This was actually also a project done through the RELO and through English language programs, and of course the US Department of State. Okay, so we are going to focus here where we split up the series here because there's just so much to cover into two parts. So the first part here is going to be on inquiry, to plan, and to act. And by the end of this workshop, you will hopefully know the purposes and stages of action research. Our previous presenter discussed that, so I'll reinforce that for you. Have some concrete examples of authentic action research projects. Identify the distinguishing characteristics of action research. Draft a plan of your own action research. So that's going to be a main kind of objective here, is actually having you begin to draft a plan, okay? And do that collaboratively here within this community of practice and research that we are developing, that we have been developing over these past 6 days. We have 1 day left together, and hopefully we will continue to develop collaboratively through RELO and through NELTA. Okay, so some chat here. I want to know, be honest, what are some of your deepest and darkest fears about research? Okay, so just share this, share some of your deepest, darkest fears about research, rejection, writing, the writing process. It's a high standard thing, okay. Time consuming, getting some assistance. Yeah, what to start, where to start. Methodology can be demanding. So oftentimes, I think, and this is coming from me too, sometimes we make this bigger and scarier, right, than it really is. And of course, that's how our mind works. when we overthink things and we can become frozen, right, into inaction. And I hope that we can begin the process. And oftentimes when we begin the process of action research, we tend to relax and we build some momentum. Okay. So that is our focus here today, is to break out of this inaction, this feeling of fear that we all initially feel, okay, when we're undertaking a perceivably big task. It's kind of like you're there, you know, let's say you're there in Nepal and you're gonna climb Mount Everest. Can you imagine, you know, trying to undertake that task? Of course, action research is not that. It's more of a smaller mountain. But if we just think about it, you know, we can say, oh, there's no way I can do that. You know, if we look at a mountain path, we say, oh, wow, that's too much. But as we get going, and if we're together with some good friends, right, we say, oh, wow, we've been hiking here for 3 hours, right, enjoying the view. So that's what our focus is. So another thing that we're going to do here is just like de-stress a little bit. We're going to use the bowl again. So I want us all to apply some of the research that was shared with us yesterday. Okay, some of the brain research, kind of resetting, refreshing, taking a deep breath in, out, taking another deep breath. I'll play the bowl here. Okay, we're reset now. We are reset to move forward, to be positive, and to do our best, right? And most importantly here, to collaborate and support each other. Okay. All right, I feel better. So you might think that your teaching routine has turned you into kind of a robot, all right? You feel mechanical. You've been doing the same things over and over. You know, you just get stuck. You know, it can be, you get comfortable. Okay, oftentimes we're busy. We're busy with our work. We're busy with our lives. We're busy with our families. You know, and it can be, you know, you can think, wow, I just got to do the same thing. It's easy. But, you know, that robotic feeling isn't the best feeling either, right? And our students pick up on that also. So we don't want to be robots, okay? We can't let the robots take our jobs either. So remember that. So I want you to keep calm. We're going to reflect, and then we're going to do some action research. All right, so let's look at some definitions here of being a reflective teacher. So those of you who are, the screen's a little blurry, I'm going to read this for you. Reflection in action. So reflection in action. Reflection in action is reflection on one's spontaneous ways of thinking and acting, undertaken in the midst of action to guide further action. This kind of reflection is what we do on our feet in the classroom as we evaluate our own and our students' reactions to the moment-by-moment activities and interactions that are taking place. We do this every day as teachers. We have these micro reflections about, hey, how are students reacting to this? How am I reacting to this? How is this going, this activity, right? What's the mood of the students, right? How is this technology affecting my ability to teach and the students' ability to learn? So this is kind of in the moment reflection. The second kind of reflection is reflection on action. Reflection on action is after the event. It's a kind of meta thinking about what happened, reflecting on the decisions we made, on our students and our own responses, and on our thoughts and feelings about the lesson, and working out our reactions to it all. So this reflection on action, if you're lucky enough to, and I hope this is the case, to be able to reflect on action with your colleagues, okay? Hey, and maybe even your students, right? About, hey, how did that lesson go? How do you feel about that, right? Reflecting with your peers, with your colleagues, your fellow teachers. Hey, this is kind of how I felt. Do you have any suggestions? Have you had similar experiences? This is reflection on action. And this is really, action research is really a combination of these two, but it's doing it more in a focused way, in a more explicit way, in a more intentional way, right? It's not just something that we do on the side and then we don't do anything, but we're acting, okay, on this reflection. So you had a little homework assignment, and I hope some of you did this, and we're going to focus here on these two boxes. Okay, so I asked you to start with this KWL chart, and I want you to first start here what you know about action research. So anything that kind of comes to mind, type in the chat box. What do you know about action research? Oh, thank you for the submission. Okay, so go ahead and write some things here. Reflection. Okay, what do you know about action research? Problem solving. It's by teachers for teachers. I love that. Okay, that's right. Apply what you just heard from the previous presentation. Involves planning. We can solve our problems. Okay, it's to improve, not to prove. I like that. I like that. Okay, it's a continuing, ongoing process. It's teacher research. Yes, very practical, cyclical, refreshing. Oh, I love that word. Okay, that's right. Very good, everybody. Great responses. Thank you for your interactions here, for your contributions. The next thing here is what you want to know or learn about action research. So what do you still want to know about it? What are you still curious about? What do you need a little bit more clarity around? Okay, so yeah, removing the fear, the processes, about the format, the steps, yes, good, okay. Different strategies, different techniques, action research and special education, I read that, thank you. Okay, just become more familiar, right? I think is what we're trying to do here. And we know as educators that learning takes reinforcement. So I'm glad that we're having a couple of days here and several presenters to help us reinforce these concepts, okay? They're not easy just to get, all right? They take time to develop our understanding, and that's what we're doing here. Okay, thank you. Supporting and mentoring others, I see that, thank you. All right, and of course, lastly here, we'll do this later, okay? We'll do this towards the end of the workshop today, but what you learned about action research from this workshop and the previous workshop too. Okay, so let's analyze this definition and the highlighted keywords. So what is action research? So this is one definition of action research. It says action research is a disciplined process of inquiry conducted by and for those taking the action. The primary reason for engaging in action research is to assist the actor, or the teacher in this case, in improving and or refining his or her actions. Okay, so let's continue to analyze this. Action research is a disciplined process of inquiry. Okay, it's a process. It's a process of inquiry. It's a process of asking questions, of reflection, of asking further questions. All right, a couple of sticky notes down here. This is the research itself, okay? The process is within the research itself conducted in the classroom. And also, it's okay for the research question to shift, to change. Oftentimes we think, oh, we have to just, stick to this original research question. No, it's a process. Things can shift, things can change. This is for you, okay? So it's a disciplined process of inquiry. So we'll talk a little bit about how we can be organized, basically, is what discipline is talking about. How we can be strategic, how we can be organized, how we can be consistent. All of these things are necessary for research. You can't just start some research and then forget about it and then start it again later, okay? You lose your continuity. So we're going to talk about how to be a bit more organized, focused, strategic about the action research that we're doing. Okay, and so we have some key terms here, right? We have data collection, okay, being disciplined with our data collection methods. And maybe even, discipline doesn't mean you have to be rigid. You can expand those data collection methods. Your analysis, right? How you are choosing to analyze your data. Your lit review, okay? So with action research, I saw that some of the fears there were just like, oh, there's just too much to do, too much to read. We're going to discuss today that your lit review does not have to be so extensive, okay? You're just looking for a variety, at least 3, okay, varieties, different solutions that might address and are helpful to addressing the question that you're asking. And rigor, okay, making sure that your data is valid, it's reliable, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, okay? But it's just basically just, making sure that you're being honest and you're being consistent with your procedures and with your analysis of the data. We all want the data to reveal something positive, but sometimes it reveals things that need to be changed, right? So we have to be honest with ourselves in that process. And the more we can be honest with ourselves, the better, okay? Trust me. Okay, so here's another part of that definition. It's conducted by and for those taking action. So again, all this thing about, hey, I'm intimidated by action research because I have to publish. You don't have to publish anything, okay? This can just be for you and maybe for your colleagues. If you feel intimidated by sharing your research initially, okay, you don't have to. This can be just within your department, even within just for yourself, okay? Just for your own experience, your own classroom. But I guarantee you, once you get more comfortable with action research, you're going to want to share, okay, your findings with others because you're going to be so excited about it. This is going to give you more confidence to present, maybe at faculty meetings, maybe at local conferences, hey, maybe at national conferences, hey, maybe at international conferences, okay? Trust me, I've been there, right? I know that it's a process of building experience and building confidence, but you have to start somewhere. And again here, you don't have to do this alone. Collaborate with other teachers. With my research, I always collaborate, okay? Even if it's my research project, I still collaborate with other teachers in the reflection process, maybe in the data collection process, sometimes in the analysis process, okay? And in the writing up the results, okay, or sharing the results process. So having collaborators is something that makes it easier for everybody. It gets more people involved, so you have more eyes and more perspectives on the analysis of your data, of your research. And typically, we teachers, we English language teachers, we share similar activities and similar methodologies and often have similar issues. So if you can have several teachers collaborating together, that's just going to make you feel like you're not alone. Okay. The last part here, the primary reason for engaging in action research is to assist the actor in improving and or refining his or her actions. So I would say here, the primary actor again is us, okay, is the teachers, and that should be the focus. You can also help the actor, being our students, okay, to improve and refine their actions. But I would say primarily action research is how can we as teachers improve, okay? And so that should be the kind of the focus initially. Ultimately, this leads to better student learning and better student outcomes. Okay, so a quick review here in the chat. All right, just to take a little mental break, right? Just to process a little bit. Who conducts action research? Who conducts action research? Answer that question for me. Yes. Answer that question for me in the chat. Who conducts action research? Yes, the teacher, the practitioner. Very good. When do we teachers conduct action research? When? Specifically when? What's the setting that we typically conduct this action research? Yes, on class time. Okay, so during class, we typically implement this research because it's within our environment, right? In our context. Okay, so what's the purpose here? This next one here, what is the purpose of action research? What is the purpose? Yeah, to solve a particular problem, okay, to explore, inquiry, right? Mitigate the issue. That's right, okay. And we already answered this here. Where is the research conducted? Okay, yes, excellent. In the field, in the classroom. Excellent, okay. So here are some, what are the teacher's biggest concerns about action research? So one is, hey, I'm not paid to do this. I already got enough going on here, right? Why do I need to do this here? So that's a concern. That's a legitimate concern. All right, but it's a concern that we can hear, that I've heard from teachers. Another concern is I don't know enough about action research to try it. Another, here's my administrator doesn't support this, right? So, maybe the administration isn't very supportive of your research agenda and doesn't have as deep of understanding as you as the importance of research. Of course, I don't have time, maybe, we're so overwhelmed already. Okay, so addressing some of these challenges here. Like our previous presenter said so well, start small. It's far less time consuming than traditional research. I've written a dissertation. I know how much time that takes, and I know how intimidating that whole process can be. This is not writing a dissertation, okay? This isn't submitting to, TESOL Journal or TESOL Quarterly or, any kind of professional academic journal. This is much smaller. This is something that you can do within the semester, okay, of when you're doing your teaching. So start small. The smaller you start, the more confidence you're going to build. It's just like with our students, okay? We give them level appropriate materials. Let's give ourselves level appropriate action research topics and agendas. I'm not paid to do this. Probably true, but you'll be paid in professional satisfaction plus greater professional opportunities. That is so true. Okay, I know people are always looking for presenters. We see some of our wonderful presenters here, this week. Submissions to publish, whether that be online or in journals. Okay, and again, presenting at conferences, at faculty meetings, to community members, right? Hey, we have the tools here. We can talk and present right now and have our own presentation and provide that out to the world. So this kind of professional development is going to make you feel better, and it's going to just it's going to build your resume, build your confidence, and build your expertise. I don't know enough about action research to try it. Well, if with a mentor, you will get the scaffolding you need to reach higher than you imagined. So mentorship is also important. Okay, try to seek out mentorship. And mentorship doesn't mean that the person has to be so much more experienced than you. Okay, mentorship can be just collaboration as well. And the last one here, my principal or my administrator doesn't support this. Unless your principal is totally against this, which if he or she is, there's an issue there. You can do this on your own. You don't need permission to do this. Okay, you are empowered to do your own professional development. So one thing I want to stress here is collaborative action research. So most classrooms can feel isolated and can be isolating places, almost like islands, right? Where maybe we don't, you know, the door's closed, or if it's not closed, there's not too much like observation. And even if there's observation, it's very few and far between. So it can feel isolating. Oftentimes teachers don't typically get to extensively share and explore their ideas with each other. Maybe a little bit at in the lounge, you know, over drinks and some tea, or you know, just kind of when you have the time. But oftentimes that conversation isn't extended. It isn't explored as deeply as it really maybe should be. The next one here, good teaching depends on an active community of teacher practice. Okay, so being able to have more collaborative and deeper and longer discussions really builds this community of teaching practice. So we're doing that right now, right? Through RELO and NELTA, we're building this community of practice. This is a great place to ask questions, to ask for resources, to ask for mentorship, and potentially even to collaborate with fellow teachers, not only in your school, but across Nepal, you know, to different countries. I mean, that just strengthens your research and makes it that much more interesting if I can collaborate and interact with my colleagues in Pakistan and Nepal and India, okay, in Brazil, across the United States, across the world. We have the tools right now that allow us to do this. So let's take advantage of this and let's increase our professional network. Teachers have, I would say, the best ideas for changing and improving practices in the school, okay? So I think that some of the best researchers are either teachers themselves or have a lot of experience being teachers. So don't underestimate, okay, yourself and your perspectives on things. So here are some different types of collaboration and action research. One is researching in pairs. Obviously, this is two teachers work together on an area of mutual interest. Another is research teams. So based on an existing team, perhaps, maybe it's a faculty department, teachers work together on a selected topic. And research groups, teachers in pairs or individually come together to work on a similar issue. So these can be different research groups, okay, that you have, you know, for example, there's different across the different provinces, let's say in Nepal, maybe you have different research groups. You work kind of more within your research group on a more continuous basis, but every once in a while, you get together with other research groups to share findings, to present findings, and to collaborate in those kinds of ways. I'm sure NELTA is doing those kinds of opportunities, just like this one here. So collaboration and action research involves collectivism, joint researching and sharing of ideas and progress. So that's a lot of transparency, a continual dialogue and conversation. Reciprocity, there's equal access to information and data sharing. One thing that we can use, you all know, is Google Documents, right? That's a way that I share information with my colleagues. We can upload information. We can have a working document, right? We can all participate in spreadsheets. You can see in Word documents, for example, who, you know, things that have been edited. So those are ways that you can share data. Mutuality, shared ownership and investment in research and outcomes. It's just like group work that we do with our students, right? You figure out what are the roles of each participant. Have those as clear as possible. Those roles might shift, but it's important that you are very clear about those roles. And affirmation, evaluation, and validation of each other's research. Anytime I do research, I share it with my colleagues. I ask them to read over what I produced. I ask them to critique it, okay, and give me different perspectives from maybe my analysis. Sustainability. Team members keep each other focused and on task. So like that's accountability as well, right? Having an accountability partner is good for anything that you want to do, especially when it's a new habit. Okay, equality. Roles differ, teachers, students, facilitators, but participation is democratic. You're not looking down on anyone. You're not feeling superior to anyone. Everyone is critical in the process. Sociality, inquiry can be shaped by awareness of broader social, cultural, and educational context. So our previous presenter talked a little bit about that sociality, about the context in Nepal. So use your experience, use your subjective experience, okay, your contextual experience to shape the inquiry and to shape the analysis as well, okay? It's okay to, and not only okay, it's necessary to be very explicit about your context, about who you are and how you see the world, so people can understand and you can understand how you are viewing the situation, okay? We all have our lens, right? We come with our own cultural lenses. They're clear, so we don't see them. But this is how we perceive the world, through these lenses. So being very honest with yourself about how do you see the world and how that affects your research is very important. And lastly here, regeneration. Dialogue becomes a source of creative reconstruction of practice. Basically, that means that you are always continually to develop professionally. And that's our whole point of being here, right? Okay, so here are a couple of action research models. I'm going to show you two. This is an older model. This is from 1986, and we see here we have, the constructive time here is planning. Okay, then it goes to acting, and then it goes to observation, right? Then it goes to that observation is like the practice, and it goes to reflection, right? And this is a cyclical process. You see it goes around and around here. There's a more updated models here, and we can see how this is more of this kind of like, yes, it's going in a direction, but it's continually kind of spiraling as well. So in this model here, we can see that it's not just a straight linear path. Yes, we're moving forward, but the process of planning, okay, identify a problem, select solution, acting, observation, and reflection is a cyclical process that evolves, that changes. I remember when I was writing my dissertation, I realized, my original question is not the same anymore. Okay, my question has evolved. And I remember asking my advisor, I said, is that okay? I thought my whole dissertation was ruined. And thankfully, my advisors said, that's totally normal. That's totally okay. Okay. Just be clear about that process. And that's part of the process, is to share and to document how your thoughts and ideas have been affected by the inquiry, by the action, by the observation and the reflection. Throughout the process, that will shift and change. Okay, so 5 distinguishing characteristics of action research. It's participatory. The teacher researches his or her own instruction. The classroom becomes a laboratory. Emphasis on change. The focus is on empowering teachers to be agents of change in their own classrooms. Empowering teachers to be agents of change. Practical. The research focuses on addressing real classroom challenges. Reflective. The teacher researcher uses reflection to improve his or her practice. And again, cyclical. Change and growth are ongoing. The learner doesn't, let me see here, I can't see my own slide, okay? The learning doesn't change, okay? It doesn't end, right? It doesn't end. It's cyclical. It's always improving. It's always developing. And you can see that, you see that with researchers who throughout their lives, it's okay to shift ideas. It's okay to change your ideas. This is a necessary process that we do when we're learning, right? So this is kind of 5 distinguishing characteristics from action research to maybe more formal, scarier research. Okay, so here's a chart here. I'm not going to go through it, but here are some, again, some comparisons here between formal research and action research. And the point I want you to get from this is that action research is accessible. Okay, it's simple. It's what you do already as teachers. You already reflect in action. You already reflect on action. It's just being a little bit more intentional and a bit more organized. And I promise you, my friends, okay, I promise you that this is going to make you all, I'm going to disable annotation here. We got that artist out there that's just, loves to draw. So this is something that should be simple. It should be easy, right? That's the definition of action research. That doesn't mean it might not be challenging, okay? Anything that is good for us or that makes us grow is going to challenge us a little bit. It might make us a little sore, okay, a little bit. But that soreness is telling you that your brain is growing, okay, and you're learning. Okay, now one little plug here for the English Teaching Forum. You can share your action research as well. You don't have to, but there are certain publications out there that are made really for action research. This English Teaching Forum, this is a publication through the American English, through the US Department of State, and they are looking for research, for activity ideas, for reflection on activities that English language teachers use all around the world. And I will tell you, they really, really, really want research from you, okay? So I published to them. This is a link to one of my publications that I did last year. And I'll tell you, the mentorship that you get from English Teaching Forum, the feedback that you get, okay, is valuable whether they publish your article or not. But I received fabulous feedback. It helped me to kind of modify my article a bit more. And I'm very proud of this article. And I'm proud to say that this article is serving to help other teachers with their teaching practice. I've gotten a lot of good feedback for that. So that's incredibly rewarding professionally. Okay, now we're going to get into here developing the research question. All right. So we're going to uncover the issue. We're going to focus on the real problem. We're going to turn the problem to a general question. We're going to review research and publish work for 3 possible solutions and select one solution to write a specific research question. But we're going to take this step by step. Okay, so don't worry. So this was also part of your homework assignment, was to review some of these questions that we sent out yesterday. Here's some guiding questions for action research. And I just want to ask you in the chat, and you can just write the number, not the whole question, but the number of the question. Which question here do you connect with the most? Is it number 1? What do you feel passionate about? Maybe that's a topic you want to kind of explore. What do you feel curious about? We have 6. What needs of your students are not being met? We have 7. Some of your students not achieving in the same way as others. Okay, so those are topics there to explore. 5, yes, what gaps are there between your current teaching situation and what you would like to see happening? That's a good one here. Let me check the Facebook Live. What are you guys seeing here? What are you writing here, Facebook Live? I'm not seeing any numbers. Are you guys there? Okay, stay with us here. Okay, which number here do you resonate with? There we go. Thank you, Saruj. Okay. Nice, nice. Yes, thank you, Curtis. I understand. So stay with us here, Facebook Live. Write the number that you think is most relevant to your situation as well. Thank you, Prakash. Yes. Number 10, what language skills would you like your students to improve? Let's see here, back to the Zoom, 4, 7, and 8. What will make you a more effective teacher? Yes, absolutely. That's a great initial topic. Okay, so these are big ideas, right? These are just some questions, some topics there to get us thinking and get the juices flowing and get brainstorming, right? So these are some topics to help you to do that. Okay, good. Thank you, everyone on Facebook Live. You're with us. We are here together. Excellent. Thank you, everyone on Zoom. Okay. Now, this is a process that I have found very helpful. It's the 5 why technique. Kids are so good at asking why. They are the best researchers, I think, in life because they're so curious and the whole world is new to them. Everything is new. They always ask why and they want to know why, okay? And they don't just oftentimes take a simple explanation. They are involved in this process of inquiry. For some reason, sometimes we start to lose that curiosity and that inquiry because we get older and I don't know, maybe we think we should pretend like we know everything, okay? But the honest truth is the more that we learn, the more we realize how little we know. So this process of inquiry here, this 5 technique starts with what specific problem have you observed? And here's one example here. Students don't perform well on spelling tests, for example. And then what you do here is you ask why 5 times. You ask why does or doesn't this happen? Okay, so in this case, why does this happen? Why don't, right? Students perform well on the spelling test. Well, one here is maybe they don't study. Okay, well, why? Why don't they study? Maybe they assume the test will be easy. Okay, well, why do they assume that the test will be easy? Well, you know, they don't learn the spelling rules and rely on memorization. Okay, well, why are they, you know, why are they just relying on memorization and they don't learn the spelling rules? Oh, well, they don't understand the rules of spelling. Maybe that's the case. Why don't they understand the rules of spelling? Oh, well, maybe I haven't taught them in a way that helps them to understand the various rules of spelling. Okay, so that's the 5 technique. That's the 5 why. You can stop there. You can continue there. Okay, but basically it's trying to continually get to the root of the situation, get to the root of the problem. And so you can do this by yourself. I think it's more useful to do this collaboratively. Okay, so we're going to do this collaboratively. All right, we're going to do, and if I can ask for a host, because I think we're going to do breakout sessions here. Oops, sorry. Okay, we're going to do breakout sessions. So if I could receive, please, from the host, if I can receive the host permission, I will need that here shortly. So we're going to do a great activity. We're going to brainstorm some action research topics. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes, okay? So this is true if you're on Facebook Live or you're here on the Zoom. If you're on Facebook Live, we're going to have the whole group on Facebook Live contribute to this, okay? And maybe you can pick 1 or 2 people to address to.
The host. Thank you.
So right now, what I want you to do is just, if you haven't done this already, take 1 minute to brainstorm a topic that you could potentially explore as an action research project. Okay, so write that down. Okay, write that down on a piece of paper right now. Don't overthink it. One topic that you could potentially explore as an action research project. So the sample that we had before was about spelling. Why aren't my students performing well on spelling tests? It could be about anything. So then in the groups, if you're on Zoom, you're going to be in your breakout group. And I want you to share one topic in your group. So just choose one topic. Okay, so maybe someone can volunteer their topic. Say, hey, I have a topic that I would like to share and explore. And together in a group, I want you to apply the 5W, or excuse me, the 5Y technique, okay? And again, what specific problem have you observed, okay? That's the first. And why does or doesn't this happen? Why? Just keep on asking, why is that the case? Why is that the situation? And then finally, what you want to do is try to come up with maybe a cause, okay, a potential cause of the problem. So remember, this is not the time to discuss solutions to the problem. We don't have enough time for that, but just to explore the topic more in depth, okay? So you're gonna have roles. So I need someone to be a timekeeper. So when you get in your groups, please someone volunteer and say, hey, I will keep the time. So you're gonna have about 2 minutes each, okay, to share and to do this why technique. So first person can start and give them about 2 minutes, keep the time, okay, and then afterwards say stop, thank you very much, let's move to the next person, and someone else volunteer. So again, what specific problem have you observed, and does or doesn't? Okay. All right. I got the breakout rooms here. You guys on Facebook Live, you do this as well, okay? In your comment section here, I'll keep this page up. If you're going into the Zoom, make sure to either write down the directions here or take a picture. We have 291 participants that are going to go to 50 rooms. I'm gonna click here under options and move all participants automatically. I'm gonna give you 10 minutes to do this, okay? And I'm gonna let you know when you have about 1 more minute left, okay? All right, everybody, let's take a deep breath. Make sure to unmute yourself, okay? And we will get started. I wish you all the best. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Hello.
Hello, namaste.
Namaste, Puri sir.
Namaste, namaste, Puri sir.
Govinda sir, good evening. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
How many are here?
Hello,
5
namaste.
people. 5
Fine.
people.
What about
Binoji.
questions, sir?
Yes, yes.
And then, okay, Khadija. Hello. Ashok sir also here.
Group work be extended in my classroom? It's closed, right? It's closed. You can just answer that with yes or no. That's it. Yes or no. Can group work be extended in my classroom? Yes or no. How do we make this an open-ended question? How can group work be extended in my classroom? Because that's a little bit of improvement. Okay, now we're asking kind of specific questions. How can group work be extended in my classroom? And there you can start brainstorming some more ideas, okay? All right. So we're gonna have another discussion here, another breakout group. And I want you to create a research question. I want you to choose one of the topics from your group, okay? So we've developed the process here of maybe developing a topic. I want you to develop one research question, all right? Now you can just do one in your whole group, or you can do several if you have time. And I want you to ask yourself, is it too broad, right? Is the scope too big? Is it open or closed-ended? So those are the 2 criteria that I want you to apply here, the research question. 1, excuse me, is it too broad? And if it is, how do we make it more narrow? And 2, is it open or closed-ended? Okay, so I want you to do this as a group and reformat the question as needed. On Facebook Live, okay, I want you to do this as well, right? I want you to just practice. Don't overthink this, but try to post some research questions and get some feedback, all right? If it's too broad, is it open or closed-ended? Let's practice writing research questions. Let's practice. Okay, beautiful mistakes here, guys. There's no bad answer here, all right? We are flexing and we are engaging and we are exercising our muscle, our research muscles. Okay, so let's just get some exercise with this. When the breakout is over, I want you to share your action research questions in the chat. All right. Okay, so again, you might want to write some of this down, may want to take a picture of the directions, okay? Choose one of the topics from your group. Someone please volunteer to do that. Remember to unmute yourself when you're in the chat group. Develop, work on one research question. Ask yourself, is the question too broad? How can it be narrowed, more specific, more focused? And is it open or closed-ended? Okay, here we go. I'm going to open up breakout set rooms. I'm going to hit options. I'm going to move participants into breakout rooms automatically for 10 minutes, and there'll be a countdown timer of 60 seconds before we stop. Okay, here we go, everybody. Please support each other. Please brainstorm. Please exercise your research muscles by writing research questions. Good luck.